Attorney General Gabriel.
Thank you, Governor. I want to start by thanking the Governor for his leadership on firearm safety issues and on combating gun violence. It's one of our core priorities at the Attorney General's office. And what I thought I'd do is just share sort of our philosophy in attacking the epidemic of gun violence. And it's really that, it's an epidemic. And what's happening in law enforcement is a paradigm shift, much in the way that we shifted our approach to the opioid epidemic from treating it as a law enforcement problem to treating it as a public health crisis. That's what we're doing when it comes to gun violence. And we're taking that same playbook of prevention, treatment, and enforcement and bringing it to bear on the issue of gun violence. And when we talk about prevention, it starts with some of the initiatives that the Governor laid out in his opening remarks. It starts with bringing light to the problem so everyone talks about it. It starts with the state police gun stat reports that we're putting out there to talk about on a monthly basis the number of crime guns we're recovering in our state, where we're recovering them, the types of guns we're recovering, so people realize that this is in their communities. And we draw the stigma away from talking about this and prompt people into action. And on a quarterly basis, we're putting out reports that talk about the origins of these crime guns, because we might have good laws in New Jersey, but other states don't have similarly strong laws. And our guns, and the Governor mentioned 80%, last quarter 82% of our crime guns came from other states, and the majority of those came from Pennsylvania. But if you go to the state police website, this is the type of information that we're putting out there so we could have these discussions about prevention. And prevention also includes the legislation that we put together with the Governor's office and the legislature to give us the tools to really combat the epidemic of gun violence. When we talk about treatment, and many of the people at this table will talk about it, and the mayor I'm sure will talk about it, we're taking different approaches. These are playbooks that have worked in other cities, like Cure Violence, like the Trenton Violence Reduction Strategy, to go into communities, to have violence interrupters, to talk to kids and give them different tools to cope with the issues that they're dealing with. And by equipping them with the tools to cope, we hope that they don't resort to violence and engage in criminal actions against each other. But it also includes giving juveniles alternatives to incarceration, to giving them another shot, to working with our Juvenile Justice Commission to come up with different approaches to give juveniles an option to stay out of the system and really reclaim their lives. That's a treatment piece. But we are a law enforcement agency, so enforcement has to be part of what we do. And that enforcement takes the form of criminal enforcement. The tools that the Governor and the legislature will give us will enable us to do more to take down crime gun rings that bring in illegal firearms to this state and flood our city's streets with them. So we're combating those rings that are bringing those guns into this state, but we're also going after ghost gun manufacturers, and we're going after those who might release codes to 3D printable guns that make it too easy for individuals in our state to get untraceable firearms. So we thank the legislature and the Governor for those tools as well to attack those individuals through civil enforcement and stop them from making those codes for dangerous, untraceable firearms available in this state. So prevention, treatment, enforcement is the playbook that we're using for when it comes to attacking the epidemic of gun violence in this state.